Hey, thanks for tuning in. It's Larry, and I am here with another tip. And this is a really good tip on how to be great on camera. And it's a behind the scenes tip. And this is going to work for live videos, it'll work for recorded videos, and it's one way to super boost your credibility. By the way, do feel free to share this with your friends, share the video, put comments below, ask questions. And that's how I keep these things rolling and make sure that I answer the questions that you guys come up with. I'll answer your questions either in writing down below, even if you don't do it at the same exact moment that I'm doing the live stream. I'm happy to answer your questions. And then I'm also happy to come back and answer those after the fact. I'll answer them in writing. And a lot of times the videos, these live streams that I do where I answer one or two questions or just talk about one thing, that comes from ideas that you guys ask questions about. So I'm happy to do that. Now, today I want to talk to you about incredible credibility. There are, if you've read my book or if you've seen tips and tricks videos I do, there are a lot of things to add to your credibility. Good audio, good lighting and environment, a good camera angle, and sometimes even if you have a second camera, that can add to your credibility because it looks like high production values and things like that. But what I want to talk about today is a magic tool that I discovered years ago, way before I was even doing regular videos. And it's something that a friend told me about when I started doing presentations on stage. So I'm talking 25, 30 years ago. One of the things that you want to do if you're doing something on stage and you want to be really credible in front of your audience is you get somebody else to introduce you. Now, you can walk out on stage in front of 50 people or 500 people and introduce yourself and say what your credentials are. But there's something about when you go on and you go, hi, I am, and I went to this school, and then I studied this, and I've been doing this other thing for years and years. It just kind of sounds like you're bragging. People don't like hearing other people brag, and it gets kind of under your skin a little bit. And also, people don't necessarily always believe you. But there's a magic way that you can get people to believe you. Now, there's a better way in live stuff, and that's to have somebody introduce you. So I always had this little card that I would travel with, and every time somebody would introduce me, I'd go, here, would you read this? I actually went to a place in, I think it was Washington State, and I was doing this presentation, and I was hired by a group to come in and talk to a bunch of local real estate professionals. And the company that hired me, GE, didn't have one of their reps there. They couldn't make that particular meeting. They still wanted the meeting to go on, but they couldn't have their rep be there to introduce me to the crowd. And I was like, oh, this is frustrating. Well, it turns out that we were doing this meeting on campus at a college, and I was able to go right outside the auditorium, and there was a receptionist working for the college, and she was like right outside the door and greeting people and bringing them in. But she didn't work for GE. She worked for the college, and she was directing people into this meeting. Well, I walked outside and I said, could I get you to do me a favor and just introduce me? And I gave her the card, and she goes, yeah, I can do that. So she walked out, and I was off stage at the time. She walked out with the microphone. She walked up to the mic. It was on a mic stand. Walked up to the mic and then introduced me. And then I walked on stage right after she said, please welcome Larry Becker. And it really boosts my credibility. I know that for a fact. Now, we're talking about video these days. And if you do live presentations, get somebody else to introduce you, definitely. But there's a magic trick that's even more powerful and more effective than having somebody spoken introduce you, like what I was talking about on stage. And I'll tell you what it is. It's something that we are conditioned by having watched TV news to know about. It's called a lower third. So let me tell you how this works. There is nothing on my screen now except me. And then what I can do is as I start into my presentation, I can have this thing come up and I don't even have to say anything. All I have to say is, hi, it's Larry. I'm here to talk to you about whatever. Now, what's going on right now, though, is there's this lower third thing all along the bottom here. So it has my full name, so I can come on and be really friendly and approachable. Hey, it's Larry again. But you know who I actually am. You know because you see the lower third there, it says Larry Becker. Now, if you want to know a little bit more about Larry Becker, you don't have to wait for me to say, oh, look, I wrote books and I've been training, I've been on video for 20 years, blah, blah, blah. You can see right there, author, on-camera spokesperson, video producer. And then you also see a link over to my website for marketing purposes. So this lower third is a magic thing. And the reason that it's so powerful and so believable is it pops up there and we just automatically, we've been watching TV news for years and years and years. And we know whatever comes up in that lower third below somebody's face is going to be their name and their real credentials. And they've been fact checked by TV news reporters, or maybe it is a TV reporter that's there on camera and you see their name and their credentials. So it's a great thing to have available is lower thirds. Now I have lower thirds available for me when I'm doing these live streams. So this is my lower third setup for my live streams. And it even works when I go to a different camera, the lower third stays there. So that's kind of cool. And it's just there for branding purposes for me. But if I was doing a video and somebody had never seen me before, then I might have something like a lower third like this that gives the credentials of who I am and what I do. I highly recommend if there's any way that you can set up and do a lower third yourself, do it. There's some live streaming software that I use called Ecamm Live, and that only works on the Mac. If you're on the PC, you can use OBS. Ecamm is a paid piece of software. It's worth it for me. There's also OBS. There's a ton of programs out there, but OBS works on Mac and on PC. It's a little tricky to learn. It's open source software. But if you set up, you can use OBS and you can have animated lower thirds and just all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that OBS does and a lot of stuff that Ecamm Live does. And I like Ecamm Live just because it's easier for me to use. It's much more user-friendly, but again, it is Mac only. But anyway about it, my main point today is you need the added credibility that comes with this magic thing called a lower third. And I would recommend that you go ahead and look at some sample lower thirds. Just go into YouTube and type in lower thirds, THIRDS, or you can even put in 3RDS, and then just see what comes back. And you'll see sample lower thirds. They have green screen lower thirds. They have all kinds of different stuff that people use. And then also start paying attention to it. Don't worry about really fancy animated. It appears and it slides in and then explodes and then the letters all kind of float around on screen. You don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. The main thing is that it's there. So whether it's a branding lower third like I have here or credentials lower thirds like this, it doesn't really matter. The main thing is you need to have lower thirds in your video. Now, in my live stream videos, I leave them there the whole time because I don't know when people are going to come into my live stream. And I don't know when people are going to leave. But for my produced videos, for my edited and recorded videos, they generally show up maybe a minute into the video or at least 30 seconds into the video whenever I'm introducing myself. I never start off my videos, except live streams. I never start off by saying, hey, it's Larry. I always start off by saying, in this video, I'm going to teach you this, this, this. And I tell people what they're going to get out of the video. Then I do a little intro music and logo graphics and things like that. Then it comes back to me on camera and I go, hey, it's Larry again. And then I get into the content of the video. When I say, hey, it's Larry again, that's when my lower third That's when my magic lower third comes in. And usually I do have some animations in the produced videos, in my recorded and edited videos. They'll slide in from the side and do those little fancy things, but you don't need that. The main thing is you need the lower third. That's it for today's Live. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you know about this magical, powerful tool. Do not abuse the power of lower thirds. Don't put in something like Super Genius Controller of the World. But if you did, I think it'd be kind of fun. Let me know if you have lower thirds, if you created a lower third after you watched this video, or even if you already have it. Let me know about it. I'd love to see what you're doing for lower thirds. That's it for today's Live. Every single weekday, I am live on my social media outlets teaching tips and tricks about being great